So there we go. So anyway, guys, just a quick reminder, if you're anywhere where it's noisy and stuff, just be reminded of your mic. You can leave it open, that's fine. If there's a lot of background noise at all, just know that we'll hear it. So kind of keep yourself muted. But anyway, Daniel's going to be leading this thing today. Daniel's coming up on his 2-year anniversary with EXP and hit Icon Agent here recently. So congratulations on that, Daniel.
Appreciate it.
Rocking and rolling out there. Just got back from Hawaii. I know we're all sad over that. So.
Back to the cold, yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, man, why don't you tell everybody real quick, introduce yourself, tell everybody your story a little bit, real estate wise and whatever, and then go ahead and you can take over, jump in here. And guys, any Q&A, that any questions you guys have along the way, or whenever Daniel opens that up, depending on kind of how he wants to structure it, whatever, feel free to, the more participation, the better. So I'll be jotting down some things as well. He's doing awesome out there. So anyway, take it away, Daniel.
Right on. Yeah, so quick intro. My name is Daniel Rodriguez. I'm originally from New York, born and raised. I enlisted in the service back in 2007, got out in 2017. So pretty much like 10 years in the Air Force. On that note, I ended up settling down here in Arkansas. It's a big change coming from the city to Arkansas. I'm not sure if anybody's here in the South or big cities. Anybody from like the New York area, East Coast?
Anybody? I know most people. There's a lot here from Colorado Springs.
Okay.
DC area.
Where are you at, David? Yeah, DC.
DC, Annapolis,
Okay.
DC.
Yeah. So big change for me. Obviously, I don't have the big sphere of influence that most people do have when it comes to running their business. So most of my business started off with lead generation, online leads. On that note, when I started off in the business, I was probably working a full-time job and doing real estate, trying to do that full-time as well. I was contracting on base, still working on the airplanes. So my day would be doing real estate from 8 to about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then running to the base from 3 to midnight. And that was my cycle for about a year or 2 years. On that note, I ended up kind of putting my money into the business, which a lot of agents kind of fail to do. They live commission to commission, don't reinvest a lot of that money back into their business. And that's kind of where I was a little bit different than most. I ended up opting into a lot of these programs to kind of learn how to generate business for myself. And it was like a big shout out to William with the Social Agent. I'm not sure if anybody has heard about the Social Agent. I ended up putting the money into it, kind of learn how to lead generate on Facebook. So that was kind of where I first started off. And it's a good group on Facebook if you haven't looked into it, the Social Agent. On that note, I started kind of really dabbling into like the CRMs. Are you guys currently actively using like the KV Core system or any other type of CRM? Okay, so KV Core. So I currently use another platform alongside of KV Core. I'm using Chime. It's a little bit, I think, more advanced when it comes to, I guess, the pieces that are inside of Chime. The big piece that attracts me to Chime is the AI integration that we do have with it. So as we start funneling in like the leads, the AI kind of starts off the conversation with them, and it's not typical responses. It's actually full-on conversations.
You have 30 people in every position,
Let me see. I think somebody else.
Yeah, there we go. I got it.
Okay. Yeah. So on that note, now most of my business comes from like Google PPC. Here's a name if you guys do decide to maybe go into that route. Brian Short. You can easily look him up on Facebook. So he manages our Google PPC at this point. So on that note, we spend about $3,000 a month on Google PPC, and it's been pretty great for us. And I'll kind of show you guys a little examples of the type of leads that we have been getting.
Can I ask you, Daniel, real quick? How because you have a team, you have a traditional team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How big is your team?
So right now it's 8 agents total, including me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have an assistant?
So we do. So we hired on a virtual assistant. She does a lot for us. I've broken down her schedule within like an 8-hour day. So she does 40 hours a week for us.
Okay.
So the first 2 hours a day, she's pretty much doing cold calling. So like the power of hours. So she'll do that from 8 to 10. And then she's doing transaction management for us. And at this point, we're going to start having her doing like some little bit social media management. So posting online for us. I'm a big fan of ISAs. I'm not sure if anybody has one, but to me, you're spending the money, but you're buying back a lot of your time and you're getting rid of a lot of the parts that most agents don't like doing, which is the cold calling. And that's what she's dedicated to doing. Like her priority is mainly to call these leads and kind of funnel them through to us. And she's booking appointments left and right. We don't really target sellers per se. We kind of target like the higher end buyers. We don't really target first time home buyers in a sense. Usually like the medium price point to the higher price points. If you're targeting those, more than likely they also have a house to sell. And it's a cheaper way of targeting rather than just targeting sellers as well.
Is she that? No, you said she's a virtual assistant.
Yeah, so we hired her. She is in Mexico, so she's actually bilingual.
Okay.
It's a lot cheaper than hiring somebody locally. You wouldn't really know because she was actually raised in New York and then moved back to Mexico. So there's no real, I guess, accent per se, which is what a lot of people have issues with when it comes to virtual assistants. We pay her, which seems very minimal. She was getting paid a lot less. So we pay her $250 a week. So it's about $1,000 a month to pretty much do what she does.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah. And if you guys are looking for like a virtual assistant, the route I would definitely recommend, I'm not sure if anybody has used it, is Upwork.
Upwork?
Yep. So yeah, you can hire an assistant for pretty much anything on there. A lot of them do have like ratings and reviews, so you can kind of figure out like, okay, this may be a good fit for me. This may not be a good fit for me. So she came with some pretty good reviews and we kind of hired her straight out. So yeah, $250 a week is what we're paying her. So roughly about $1,000 a month. So per day, she's doing maybe about 4 hours of calls. And then in between that, she does kind of like transaction management. So she runs like our Sky Slope, which kind of is like another tedious task for us because it may take a little bit of time to do. Yeah. So on that note, she's cold calling for me and the other 7 agents, scheduling appointments. We use Calendly as well. So she's kind of booking the appointments and setting them on the Calendly. And it's all about automation. And like if you come up with a good platform, some good systems in place, you really don't have to do much in this sense because the system at that point starts running itself. So the way we have it set up, the lead comes into the CRM, either the AI reaches out and then the ISA also reaches out. So they're getting hit from both sides. She starts booking the appointment, scheduling the appointments for the buyer agents. And then from there, it's pretty much your typical transaction. And let me go ahead and share my screen real quick.
Sure.
So this is kind of like the AI portion of Chime. And it starts from the bottom all the way up. And let me go ahead and just maximize my screen. So the conversation kind of goes from bottom to the top. So here's the AI trying to reach out. They can't reach her. Here she is again trying to reach out. And then we finally get the response. And I kind of had to black out the name. But yeah, it starts asking these questions and having full conversations like, hey, do you have a quick second for a chat regarding your home search? We're ready to help Jamie. So here's the lead responding. It's like, yes. And then here we are again. Are you planning on making a move within the next year or so? And they're like, okay, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom to 4-bedroom. And then, yes, sooner than the next 3 months. Here we are again. And then she starts having the full conversations, asking like real important questions. And here we are again. I'm not sure. I'm new here from Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's just currently me, my husband, staying with my daughter in Little Rock. And then they start breaking down the certain parts of the subjects like, okay, so what's your budget? What kind of time frame are you in? So we know. And once again, this is kind of pennies for what we're paying in regards to like the other sources of leads. So here she is, $500K budget, looking for a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house. And then they'll ask them, are you working with an agent? How do you plan on financing the house? Are you going to be financing it or paying cash? And this is, once again, all pretty much like a robot. So AI is just having a conversation.
Did this come in from a Google pay-per-click ad?
Yeah. So we run Facebook ads and PPC, but I'm going to say the better leads are going to come in through Google. Just because anybody that's going to Google, they're typing in these keywords, like, hey, looking for a home in Little Rock. Okay, so obviously they're putting the intention behind it. Once you start targeting Facebook leads, it's a little bit more different, just because you're creating ads and just putting it in front of almost anybody, just because you can't make a specific audience anymore. Well, you can create audiences if you have a whole list of people, but Facebook kind of cracked down on that a little bit. And now they made it a little bit more difficult to target home buyers and stuff like that. So we kind of focus more on PPC.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So AI touches base with them. Here's Rochelle, one of my agents, texting the agent or texting the lead and pretty much setting up the appointment. But once the AI thinks it has enough information to qualify the lead, it kind of does this as well. It puts you a note and lets you know, like, hey, reach out to this lead. This is what the criteria is. And that's usually when our agent reach out.
Can I ask you a couple of things? I don't want to keep hijacking your presentation.
Yeah, no, you're good.
With Chime, how much do you pay for Chime?
So Chime, I got a good deal. It's actually real cheap in comparison to a lot of other CRMs. We're paying about $1,000 a month for about 20 seats.
Okay.
So it's super inexpensive in my opinion.
Do you have any idea what it is like for an individual agent to set that up?
I think it's about $400 to $500 a month.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah. But they do have a lot of other pieces included in there that just make it worth it. I've been through a lot of different CRMs. I started off with Sync. And just for me and like 3 other agents, I was paying about $1,500 a month.
Yeah, it's expensive. I know.
Yeah.
Very expensive. I mean, I like what you were showing, that like the AI part of that, those auto text, like that was like, that's pretty impressive in terms
Yeah,
of.
so that's the game changer for me, just because I've seen the one that KV Core does, and KV Core just has like the automated text messages that are triggered by certain things that the lead does on the website. The AI is a little bit different, just because it starts having conversations and starts learning behaviors, and next thing you know, it's like, okay, here you are. It's like, okay, we're going to have a full conversation. I'm going to find out what you need, and then I'm going to send that to one of my agents.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Yeah, so Chime, awesome platform. I'm not here to sell you guys on it. I'm just saying leverage the systems you guys do have, because you can do amazing things with KV Core as well. ISAs, I think that's a crucial part of my business, because it's all about just leveraging your resources to buy back some of your time. Yeah, it can add up real quick, but you kind of have to weigh those options. Like, is it worth spending $1,000 a month on an ISA? But at the end of the day, if she's going to be cold calling either 4 or 8 hours a day, it'll be a quick return.
I think the key is it's just, and again, if it's a solo agent, you know, whatever, like that's the one thing I had to learn early on, was you got to be on top of the calls. I think that's where most agents tend to go wrong. We hate the phone.
Yeah.
We get on the phone, whatever. So we avoid the phone, whatever. We do it when we have to, but then it tends to be feast and famine. You know, you'll have that 1 month where you got 3 or 4 closings, and then you have the next 3 or 4 months, you have no closings because you weren't working. You were so busy during that time that you just didn't have the discipline with your schedule to make the calls that you need to get ahead of the game.
Right.
You know? And I had to learn that early on, you know, whatever. I got really good, but I remember when I had my team, you know, 4 or 5 agents, and I had an ISA. And it helped a ton, you know, just.
And that's time that they can be out there showing properties or handling other parts of the business.
Yeah.
So once again, for $1,000 a month, I think that's super inexpensive, especially if we lock in this $500K deal. We're making on average about 15 grand.
Sure. How long did it take to train your virtual assistant? Like, I'm assuming you had to go over scripts and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah. So with Upwork, a lot of them already come with a little background in like real estate, kind of like ISA services. Mm-hmm. And at that point, they're just independent contractors, and then you're just paying them out. But we do role play. I do coaching through Tom Ferry right now, so I use a lot of the scripts with her. Mm-hmm. So Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, me and her hop on a call first thing in the morning, and we just kind of role play a little bit, just kind of get her started for the day. But yeah, just hitting on those key questions kind of really helps. It's like, okay, are you going to be a first-time home buyer? Are you looking to sell? Do you need a finance? Whatever those case may be. She kind of gets down to it.
Mhm.
And then we already have her lined up with like our lenders, because our lenders are going to start pretty much coughing up half the cost for what we pay in marketing. So that helps quite a bit. But yeah, she has a list of the lenders that we do work with, and depending on the criteria, she sends them to a specific lender. Because we have lenders that work with first responders, people in the medical field, military, et cetera, that have grant programs. So she'll try to sell them on that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's
So for you, real quick, with your team, 8 agents, you said?
yeah.
8 agents, and you're paying $3,000 a month for the pay-per-click ads. How
Yep.
many leads does that turn into, roughly?
So we get a lot of leads.
Yeah.
Between Facebook and Google PPC, we're probably getting about 800 leads a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They just keep flowing in. Our cost per lead is actually pretty low.
Mhm.
So yeah, our ISA cannot hit everybody, but I think that's where the AI kind of steps in and does that as well, because we do get a lot after hours.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I'm just
here's
trying to
another-
think, because that way the individual agent on here can kind of start breaking that down. Like, so if I did this, like, whatever, like,
Yeah,
the individual agent doesn't need 800 leads a month. Like, there's
no, they don't. You can kind of control your ad spend on that.
Sure.
It's just that I do kind of have a bigger team, so I need to make sure that everybody's eating
Right.
accordingly.
Right.
But I think the most crucial parts to building or structuring a team is just having those systems in place. So one, have your CRM, have leads coming in. If you want an ISA, by all means get one. If not, have your agents doing like the power of hour, either first thing in the morning or later in the afternoon. And that's kind of how I used to divide my time like prior to having the ISA. I would do like calling in the morning, and then in the afternoon as well when people would get off work.
Mhm.
Altogether, it's been working out pretty great for me. Like last month, I personally closed out 11 deals, and that's not including what my team did.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how long have you been licensed?
Since 2017, 2018.
Okay. Wow.
So it was November of 2017.
Okay. So really, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and once
coming along
again, most of my
pretty good.
business is just online. I don't really have that sphere of influence that most people do out here. So it's just throwing money online and just seeing what comes back to us. And it's been pretty effective for us.
Mhm.
And the agents on my team, a lot of them are newer agents, year 1, year 2, or I do work with quite a bit of like the struggling agents that haven't been able to do much. They jump on the team, and most of them are doing about 2 to 3 deals a month right now.
Wow.
So it's worked out to the point where our marketing cost is covered, because altogether between all the platforms and everything that we do spend, I do about $8,000 a month in marketing.
Okay.
But when each of them are doing about 2 to 3 deals, it kind of adds up real quick.
Mhm. That's
So
awesome.
is everybody here with EXP, or are there people that are
Yeah,
not?
this is all EXP people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it works out great if you're trying to hit icon as well. It makes you hit it a lot quicker once you start building that team out, because a lot of those transactions go towards your cap and then that 5,000 as well.
When did you start building your team? How far into the business were you before you started bringing on
Yeah.
some agents?
So year 2. So when I started in the business, I started on a husband and wife team. It didn't really work out for me too well over there, just because they kind of kept all the good leads within themselves, and then me and the other 2 buyer agents, we just ended up leaving. On that note, I went to like an independent brokerage. I took a lot what I learned from her, because she was great at what she did, and started kind of ripping off and duplicating the same systems. So the brokerage where I was at, it was a lot of new agents. They saw what I was doing. They were like, hey, do you mind sharing some of your leads with us? I'm like, you know what? We can kind of work something out on the referral system. And that's eventually how the whole team concept came about.
Mhm. For sure.
Hey, Daniel,
Yeah.
what kind of team do you have? There's 3 levels of teams.
Yeah.
EXP,
So we're currently on the standard team, which is the 8,000 cap.
right?
Although I'm kind of tempted to kind of eventually get away from the whole team concept and really focus on my downline per se. And I don't want to take too much from their plates. Yeah, it's ideal for me, but I figure if I build out my downline and provide the same services to everybody, it'll kind of be lucrative for both ends.
You could do what you're doing. Seems like even to build that revenue share team, if you want to do that, like even to, your marketing costs, like you could even to feed some of those people, if they're local, feed them some of those leads, whatever, and do a 25% referral or however you want to work that.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You
So
sort of
that's kind of what I was
building that piece of it,
So
provide
that's the
them leads.
conversation I was having with Sean is I'm going to eventually get rid of my team. Yeah, I'm still going to support them and help them where it's needed because it only makes sense for me. But if I can feed my downline, that kind of starts opening up those tiers, especially when they're newer agents.
Mhm.
You could actually build this without going the quote unquote team or the formal team route. Could you not just work out some type of referral arrangements with a number of your downline? Doesn't have to be formal. It can be deal by deal.
Correct.
And do the marketing and without having a formal team, just refer to your downline what seems to be a good fit.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I had intended to do. So pretty much anybody that comes in and is in my downline, whether it's my first tier, second tier, third tier, they're going to get full access to my CRM and the leads that I'm providing. To me, the cost is very minimal. If I'm spending $3-4 grand a month, but I'm still collecting 25% from whatever transactions I do provide them. And at the end of the day, they're going to be happier because I'm not taking 25-30% from every transaction.
Yeah, some teams, a lot of them take 50%.
Oh yeah, full teams do it, yeah. And on that note, it's another tool that they have in their pocket that they can kind of provide to agents that they're trying to attract. It's like, hey, I'm not sure what you're getting at your brokerage, but if you need leads, come check us out. We're providing leads for you on a referral basis.
Mhm.
That's a good way to recruit.
Yeah, it is. And once again, the cost is very minimal. If you're spending $2-3 grand a month, if they're closing out one deal, each agent, depending on how big your downline is, on average, I make about $1,500 per transaction off my agents. So it pays itself off quick when each of them are doing about 2-3 deals a month.
Very much so. Well, and I think it goes back to just kind of the whole idea of leverage,
Yeah.
And again, everybody on here is going to have different ideas with that in terms of what they want to do, different
Yeah.
goals. Some people, hey, if I do one deal a month, and I'm good. That's good. It's what I need to do. Some people
Yeah.
want to build it. Some people, and like for me, like early on, I was building it. It was me providing for my family totally 100% on the commissions. And so I was working at building it. And then my wife had to start helping me because it was like getting to be too much. She gets her license. We hire an assistant. We started building that team. And I realized I could get so much more done, by just, I
And you're
focused
buying
on
your time back.
listings, and then I had the buyer agents primarily,
Yeah.
and I would work with some buyers and stuff, but I just tried to focus on the listings just time wise, it was just a better use of my time. And being on the phone, that between me and my ISA, that was the most powerful part for us because we could set more appointments and do more deals that way.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is I like to travel quite a bit. So it's about buying my time back.
Yeah.
There's so many deals I can personally do in a year, and I'm not going to let any deals go to waste. So why not pass it on to somebody and collect a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, whether you're using KV Core, Chime, Sync, you really need to dabble into them and really use them to their full potential.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys are looking for like a PPC manager, Brian Short, you can look him up on Facebook. Great resource. He charges about $500 a month for management, but he's running everything else on the back end.
Okay.
You say that, sorry to interrupt, but when you say that, be more specific about what Brian is doing for you?
Yeah, so he's doing pretty much all the research on the keywords. He's creating the Google PPCs, so the ads on Google's that you'll see. He's great at what he does.
But that ties in with your Google pay-per-click?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Daniel, what was Brian's last name?
Short, SHORT. Actually, let me see if I can give you his phone number if you guys want it.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.
So, and while you're looking that up, a question on your breakdown between Facebook and your PPC. You had mentioned about $8,000 or 800 leads, I believe you said. What
Yeah.
percentage of that is from your PPC, or how many of those 800 is PPC versus Facebook?
You know what? I will tell you right now. Let me go into my CRM and see if I can get a good breakdown. Or if not, I'll go ahead and put my information on here, and that way you can kind of reach out to me later and I'll give you those statistics.
That'd be great. Awesome.
Yeah. Let me get you Brian's
You
information.
could also, Daniel, when we post this up to the Facebook group, like in the comments down there, like,
Mhm.
anything you want to add in there in the comments, you could, good place
Yeah.
to put it too, so everybody could see it. But
Okay, so Brian's number is area code 702-834-0022. Let me put that in here.
It's be in Vegas.
Yeah.
you put it in the chat. There you
Yeah.
go. Cool.
And that's where your Google PPC, which in my opinion is the better route of going between that or Facebook ads. It's just going to be warmer leads. And the difference is it's going to be a little bit pricier, but your return is going to be a little bit better.
Well, again, I think just it's that leverage of your time.
Yeah.
There was a point when I had somebody doing my Google pay-per-click because I did that a lot and it worked great, and then I remember that person ended up going a different direction, whatever. I started doing it on my own, but it was like, I did okay with it, but I learned how to do it. But my goodness,
Yeah.
that was like a 3-week class practically just learning how to do Google pay-per-click. I mean,
And the keyword research part is going to be
yeah,
the hardest part of it.
oh gosh, it was just, it was another job for me.
Yeah.
So to have somebody
Another,
like this who can do it for those that want to do this, it's
yeah.
powerful.
And another good platform to kind of go into, I'm not sure how many are actually doing it, is Google local ad services.
Okay.
So that was something recently released by Google. I would say it might be like a year old now. You're pretty much advertising on Google. So if somebody types in, let me see if I'm able to do it from here.
I just started that and I've already got 3 deals out of it. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I probably have $600, maybe $700 tied up so far, and it works. In my area though, there might be, so it shows 3 agents when you do
Yep.
shows 3 agents, but then if you click it, you'll see in my area, there's another 40 that are lined up behind those 3 agents.
Yeah.
So in some counties, it's not doing well for me, but other counties, it's like it's really working well. So I highly recommend that. You need to have an insurance policy. Did you have to get a liability policy?
Yep. But here's the other portion of it. What I've seen on Google local ad services, those that have reviews or a lot of reviews do a lot better than those that don't.
Correct. That's right.
Yeah. So if you're not requesting reviews from like your past clients, definitely get on that, because it makes a difference. Because a lot of them will reach out as like, hey, I'm reaching out based off of your reviews. Can you give me a hand?
So Google local ad services.
Yeah. And it's real inexpensive in comparison to like Zillow and other platforms.
You
And
only pay when you only pay when you get a lead.
Yep. You only, yeah. If they call you, you have a conversation with them, that's when you get charged.
And they're pretty fair. If you get a bogus call, get solicitations now and again, and all I have to do is rebuttal that, and they listen to the recording, realize I'm correct, and they take it off.
So yeah, another great platform, Google local ad services.
Do you have a Google business page?
I do, and that's where we capture like our reviews and stuff. I need to get a little bit better at it, but I plan on doing that this weekend and reaching out to like a lot of my past clients, being like, hey, mind dropping me a review.
Yeah, that's something I'm working on setting up right now for myself.
Yeah.
I know it's free to do.
Yeah. So we do that on Facebook, Google Ads, and obviously Zillow, because they're going to be looking at all 3 platforms.
It's awesome.
But yeah, Brian Short, great resource. If you guys want to dabble in Chime, let me know. Once again, I think the AI is a great tool to have. As you can kind of see, it's just full-on conversations with the lead. And right off of this one deal, we're getting the buyer and the seller off of it. So I'm going to say it's probably going to be close about maybe 700K in volume. And on that, we probably spent maybe $20 on this lead.
Good return.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure you guys have any other questions you guys want to pick my brain on.
I think, the nice thing about doing something like this, and especially, I mean, depending on when you do, like for me, 20 years in now, it's like I just, between referrals and past clients, like I haven't run ads for stuff for a long time, because it's just, we're between my wife and I, we're doing 50 deals a year without having to do any of that. And that's what happens over time. You build
Right.
up that database of people. And if then you do the follow-up the right way with that database, and you ask for the referrals here and there, and you're keeping in touch with them. We've had other trainings, here on Tuesday mornings talking about that stuff, and whatever, all that, then it's like, eventually you get that point, you're doing plenty of deals every month without having to spend, $8,000 a month to do it. You start
Right.
pulling back on that,
And a lot of that, because my business is becoming a referral at this point now, I'm just doing it primarily just for the team. Obviously, I'm trying to build them out, because that starts dabbling into my revenue share. So it's more about investing in them at this point.
Yeah.
And it covers the marketing side of it. And then I'm still pretty much making a good chunk off of it as well.
And you can do that with about 25% referral fees, right?
Easily.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, by doing your own advertising, it gives you an opportunity to be able to sell it down the road. If you're just a referral-based business, that's a hard thing to sell.
Yeah.
Having both, I think, is the key.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways, different ways of looking at it. Like I said, I plan on eventually getting rid of my traditional team and just focusing more on giving back to everybody that's within my organization.
It's one of the nice things about this model is at least we have that option.
Yeah.
So anyway, what are the thoughts and comments? What does this get you guys thinking a little bit? Because I know most people on here are probably solo agents and different stages in the business. Some been around a long time, some are new within the last couple of years. Even like, what kind of thoughts do you guys have? What does it get you thinking? Kind of bigger a little bit. Some of you, what thoughts do you have on that?
Yeah, I definitely like the info on how you're leveraging this. You're always taught leverage yourself, but how to leverage yourself is kind of the key of things. And hearing Daniel go through this, I'm just like blown away. And I started back in real estate around 2017 as well, but I was only doing it part-time, doing the construction. But now I've chopped off most of my construction, and I sit down and I do the calls, in the mornings, in the afternoon, just like you were saying. And to see this type of how to leverage is it's awesome. So I appreciate it, Daniel.
Yeah, for sure. And if you decide to go the ISA route, check out Upwork. You can pick up an ISA for $8, $10 an hour.
And you can control like how, you might want them 2 hours a day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can kind of set that up, I think, right? Like depending on what your business is like.
Yeah. And we're using ours pretty much full extent. She's doing ISA work, transaction coordination, and then social media management. So for $1,000 a month for her to do all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do me a favor, can you stop sharing your screen so we can see
Yep.
it a little bit bigger on here and then, but no, I think it's things to think about, Paul, you know, like, cause again, a few years into it and I know you want to build it up a little bit more this year. It's just different ways to do it. And you gotta budget that out. You gotta think that through, you know, you can't this is coming from a couple years in, you know, I mean, you start with one piece and then you go to the next, you know, whatever, and you kind of build that to wherever you want to go with it.
Right. And I've saved up some capital from my business to invest in, you know, what I need to here. So I know that there's little expenses along the way. My expenses are pretty minimal though.
Mhm.
Most of my stuff is referral because of my construction for 18 years. I'm always hitting my clients up. They usually want me to remodel something, but I tell them, you know, right now I'm focusing on real estate. And I have a guy that I'm selling those jobs to, just so that they're taken care of.
Mhm.
So
Definitely.
that's awesome.
So David, I got a question, if I could, Jeff.
Yeah, bro.
Sorry, Paul. So your IA is, I mean, that's an integration into Chime with your CRM, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just like a bot doing the, they have a, you know, they have this set up to where it's, you know, sending key messages or text messages or however you're communicating
Right.
to that client, correct?
Yep. It's text messages.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's what I thought. I'm just making sure. Because that's
Yeah.
part of your whole, the whole Chime CRM system.
It is, and I think that's why they're growing as big as they are, is mainly for that one piece.
Right. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Because you can add a bot to CRM, to KV Corp, for instance,
Yep.
and work similar stuff. And I don't know, I haven't dove into it, but I know one of our other agents, one of our other, in our group is using it, and he's a big agent, and he says it's
Yeah.
really doing well for him.
Yeah. And the way we have ours set up, we have ours turned off for the most part during the day now. And we have the AI turn on after the ISA pretty much clocks out for work.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah. And then we named the AI same name as our ISA. So whenever the AI reaches out and the ISA reaches out in the morning, they both go by the name Jamie.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
for sure. Yep.
It was just impressive to see the responses on the text. I mean, you would, it's, you know, whatever. We all have those automated things that we get where, you know, it's just an automated thing. You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
know that, you know, and but the less you can catch that, I think, you know, the more real it is. I mean, the more conversation you're going to have, the more engaged you're going to be, you know?
Right.
So,
And then I put my email in there if you guys have any other questions. Definitely don't hesitate to reach out there, work chat, whatever the case may be. We're pretty much all here to grow together. So
I've got one other question, David. Can you, so, you know, with you using Brian Short, can you utilize, I mean, can he target, I mean, I would think he could, but with the Google information that he's doing, can he target, you know, a different demographic or different area outside like Arkansas where you're at, or a
yeah.
different city,
So,
you
yep.
know? Okay.
So right now, he's doing the whole state for me. At one point we were working a little bit with Texas. We had a couple of agents down there that we were trying to work with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a bad deal. You just got to make sure those agents are willing to work those leads.
Sure, no, understand. But I mean, if you have a organization, you've got, you know, agents and some of this other stuff, then it makes sense to be able to share with them and you know, to help everybody out,
Oh
obviously.
yeah, for sure. And I think that's the biggest piece. If you can start opening up those other tiers, and even if the agents are in other states, but you have quite a few agents in those states, it might make sense to be like, hey, we're going to help you guys out. We're going to provide you guys some leads.
Right.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it gets me thinking about that, you know, because I do have that revenue share team, you know, that I built, and even on my tier one, like how many of those, you know, again, just, you know, you get them productive, you know, more
Mhm.
productive, whatever, it helps them, helps me, you know, opens up the next tier, that kind of stuff in terms of that piece of it. Like that's, you know.
And if they're willing to pay a referral to an agent referring business to them, it's like, okay, why not go this route? You're not going to pay anything up front until you close the deal, and you're still paying about the same percentage as you would like a regular referral.
Good stuff. Very cool. Any other questions or comments, thoughts? Anybody before we wrap it up? It's good stuff. Nobody?
And we're good.
Good stuff.
Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel, thank you very much, man. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
for sure. We'll talk soon.
A lot of good stuff to think about. You know, it might be good too. You mentioned how you're with Tom Ferry. You know, that might be something to think about for even a future training. You know, take some bits and pieces out of things that are working, scripts, that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, and we can't get enough of that stuff either. You know.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that's helped me out with my coach is really breaking down my expenses, my budget. Because before I was spending what I was spending about 12 grand a month. So I had to bring that down a bit.
Easy to
but-
do in this business.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Get phone calls all the time.
Yeah.
I remember running the ads on the grocery carts. I've done all kinds of stuff. But I'm like,
Yeah, you-
that was
you
a
gotta throw it out there, see what
why'd I spend $4,000 on that? Like that was, I don't
Yeah.
know. There's some things that whatever just didn't work as well as others. But then there's things that work, and so man, I'll put another 1,000 towards that one. You know what I mean?
Right.
It
And
works. You know,
yeah, and if you could
Living
automate the
alone.
whole process, it's just about automating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Willing to free us up to do more of the things we want to do. I think, you know, so many people get into this business that they want that freedom of being their own boss and be their own, having their own schedule, that kind of stuff, but you can get so over leveraged on yourself, you know, whatever, if you don't have these systems in place and like all this kind of stuff. I mean, all this, I'm going to dig into some of this because again, to free up more time, you know, and get
Yeah.
more done, close more deals. I mean, that's at the end of the game. I mean, that's what it's about. So anyway,
Sure.
very, very cool. So, well, Daniel, appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for being on here. I'm thinking right now we will probably do next week. It's the 21st, next Tuesday. I think we got one more lined up. We'll probably take that week between Christmas and New Year's. We won't have anything that week. We'll take that off and then we'll jump back in come January. But definitely good stuff here. So, okay. You guys have a great rest of your day. Have a good week. Reach out to us if we can help you in any way. Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you guys.
Guys.
Thanks.
We'll see you.